AI isn't coming. It's already transforming marketing and business. See how at MACON 2025, October 14th through 16th in Cleveland. Evergreen Podcasts is proud to be the official podcast partner, recording live on-site and meeting with more than 1,500 marketing leaders. You'll learn from leaders at Google Cloud, Meta, Snowflake, and HeyGen, sharing what's working and what isn't. Transformation starts here. And with our special code, PODS200, you'll save $200 off your ticket. Join us at the Huntington Convention Center. Register today at macon.ai. That's MAICON.ai.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
This content may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion advised.
He had no defined features about him. His eyes were dark and unrecognizable. He almost looked inhuman.
When I was about to pass him, I saw him aim the rifle right at me from the corner of my eye. I was internally screaming, but for some reason, I told myself to keep walking.
From Killer Podcasts, true tales of horror, bizarre happenings, unexplainable events. This is Disturbed. Hello, and welcome back to the show. This week we have 3 true stories that will make your skin crawl. So sit back, listen closely, and dive into the horror. In our first story, a lurking neighbor knows more than he should. Narrated by Robyn Unger from Disturbed listener Karina. Submit your story by emailing mystory@disturbedpodcast.com.
When I was around 13 years old, my best friend Lila had a birthday party in her vacation house. It was located in a small but popular little area about 2 hours away, and it was known for having lots of little rental houses. Lila's mom drove all of us, and we planned to have a sleepover. We had a great time that day, swimming and doing a bunch of typical 13-year-old girl stuff. But once it started to get late, things got weird. We went inside for dinner, and Lila asked her mom if we could go on a late-night walk. Mind you, it was around 9-10 p.m., so it was quite dark outside. The girls and I were in our little pajamas and slippers when we left, while giggling and laughing loudly, making a lot of noise. After walking a rather short distance, we reached a very small park surrounded by bushes. We decided we would hang out at this park for a little, then head back. While the other girls were swinging around and laughing, I happened to look up at a small, dimly lit vacation house. On the narrow balcony above the porch stood an elderly man. He had short gray hair, a navy pullover, and shorts. His face was oddly still, unblinking, full on staring at me. A shiver ran down my spine and a gut-wrenching feeling inside me bubbled. I took a long look at him, trying to make out his face, but he had no defined features about him. It was so eerie. His eyes were dark and unrecognizable. He almost looked inhuman. I told the girls we should get going because it was late and I didn't want to get in trouble from Lila's mom. We went home and settled in for the night. We stayed up for about an hour before heading to bed, snuggling up in our sleeping bags. All the other girls fell asleep, but I couldn't. I laid awake thinking about that strange man on the balcony. About 30 minutes later, I heard the sound of an old metal box being opened from outside. I got that same gut-wrenching feeling. I clutched the sheets and my body froze up. After working up the courage, I slowly crawled over to the open window. I peeked my head out to see that same man at our mailbox, opening and closing it on repeat. It was nearly hidden in the shadows, but I could see he held a note in his hand. A tear ran down my cheek as my knees wobbled to the ground. I curled up in a ball and begged that it would stop and he would go away. Eventually, my exhaustion overpowered my fear and I fell asleep. I woke up to the sound of the girls getting ready and the sun pouring through the windows. We packed up and had breakfast and started loading up the car. Once we were all buckled up, Lila's mom was hauling the last few of the stuff into the trunk. Then, her gaze wandered to the opened mailbox. She walked towards it and pulled out a piece of paper. It was the man's note. I watched her eyes dart across the page, but something she read made her freeze in shock. She clutched the paper, making her knuckles go white. After a moment, she took her phone out and snapped a photo, then ripped up the note and put it in the trash. Lila's mom drove us all home without mentioning the note. I didn't say what I saw either. But a day later, my mom received a text from Lila's mom. It was a photo of the note. It read, "I will love you forever, Karina. Don't forget me." He knew my name. I have no idea how, but he knew my name. And he loved me? It was terrifying. But what scares me the most is what if we had waited a second longer to leave the park? We were all alone late at night. There's no telling what could have happened.
Disturbed will return in a moment. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for $15 a month. Now I have high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network, all while keeping my phone, number, and contacts. Many of you know Mint Mobile has been partnered with us for a while now, and that's because I really do love Mint. Unlike my old carrier, Mint is reliable and affordable, so I've been telling everyone to make the switch. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/disturbed. That's mintmobile.com/disturbed. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. As a father of 4, there's nothing more important than the safety of my family. After we moved into a new house, I wanted a security system that didn't just catch criminals, but stopped crime in the first place. That's why I got Simply Safe. Their AI-powered cameras detect threats while they are still outside your home and alert real security agents. It's a game changer. They take action in real time, confronting the intruder, letting them know they're being watched on camera, and that the police are on their way, and even sounding a loud siren and triggering a spotlight if needed. That is real security. And it's why Simply Safe was named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report for 5 years running. Now I have peace of mind while I'm out of the house. Simply Safe is incredibly dependable. The monitoring system is fast and reliable, and the app is super easy to use, so I'm always able to check in. Simply Safe protects not only your family, but your wallet too. There's no long-term contracts, no hidden fees, and you can cancel at any time. Plus, with a 60-day money-back guarantee, there's no risk to try it out. For anyone looking to protect their home or business, I definitely recommend Simply Safe. Right now, Disturbed listeners can save 50% on a Simply Safe home security system at simplysafe.com/disturbed. That's simplysafe.com/disturbed. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Deep in the woods, a strange hunter marks his next target. Narrated by Terra Ashe. From Reddit user Hollow Neon.
I experienced something recently that hasn't left my mind. I can't tell if I'm overreacting or if something was actually wrong, so I wanted to share what happened. I live in the countryside, and I own a horse. I keep her in a barn that's about an hour walk away, and I take a really nice forested road to get there. Even though it's a made road, there's rarely any traffic, and it's a comfortable walk. One afternoon, with sunset just around the corner, I walked to the barn as always. The area around it is fairly open, with maybe 2 or 3 houses. And near one of them, I spotted a man standing in between bushes and holding a rifle. Now, I live in Central Europe, where guns are uncommon and require a license. That alone was strange, since I had only seen a gun once or twice in my life. I tried to brush it off because it looked like a hunting rifle. Still, something about him felt off. The second thing that bothered me was his clothes. He wasn't wearing camo or anything that suggested he was hunting. Instead, he had on a bright blue hoodie, a cap, and shorts. Hunting in that area also didn't make any sense. I've been going to this barn for 5 years, and the only wildlife I have ever seen are a few bunnies. I'm not even sure it's legally allowed. The third detail was that he had some kind of stand for the rifle, and he was pacing back and forth along the fence like he was trying to find a place to set it up. I stared too long trying to figure out what he was doing, and he eventually noticed me and looked me in the eyes. I quickly looked down at the ground, trying to act uninterested, but I could feel him staring. When I was about to pass him, I saw him aim the rifle right at me from the corner of my eye. I was internally screaming, but for some reason, I told myself to keep walking. There was no way he'd shoot me in public, right? And if I ran, that might give him more of a reason to shoot me. My thought process didn't make much sense, but I was in panic mode. I forced myself to keep moving as my body begged to collapse onto the ground. Then I heard the gun cock. My heart dropped. All my thoughts flew out the window and fight or flight kicked in. I ran as fast as I could, darting around a corner away from the man. I didn't see him follow. I ended up sitting in my horse's stall for what felt like hours. By then it was completely dark and I hadn't seen a single other person at that barn or on the way there. I felt completely alone. I was paranoid that the man with the gun might be waiting somewhere. Maybe I saw something I wasn't supposed to. Eventually, I calmed down enough to leave, but walking back was awful. I have never felt so terrified in my life. Every little sound made me jump because I was so afraid of being shot on the way home. I was too scared to even use a flashlight, so I walked in near complete darkness. I was nearly all the way back. I was stopped in my tracks by a thin red light in the bushes. It was a laser, I assume, aimed 2 or 3 meters to my right. My gut screamed that if I took another step, I would die. I have never run faster in my entire life. What is usually a 30-minute walk felt like both seconds and hours. I ran back to the barn, locked myself in the dressing room, and called a close friend of mine to pick me up. There was no way I was going out there again. I still don't really know what happened. Maybe it was a coincidence, because he could have just shot me if he really wanted to. But I still can't find a way to explain the laser sight, his intentions with the gun, or why he pointed it at me. Am I connecting dots that aren't there? Or did I really outrun something life-threatening?
We'll be right back. It's birthday season in my family, which means a lot of sugar, grease, and fatty foods. Normally, that would be the worst for my stomach, but not this year. I recently started drinking AG1, and it has kept me feeling 100%. AG1 Next Gen is a daily health drink clinically shown to support gut health and fill in common nutrient gaps. With 5 probiotic strains and 75 plus vitamins and minerals, it replaces the need for a multivitamin, probiotics, and more. In an industry where not everyone invests heavily in research, AG1 Next Gen is setting the standard. They go to great lengths to continually invest in rigorous, peer-reviewed clinical trials to guarantee AG1 Next Gen will work for you. Plus, it comes in 4 amazing flavors you're sure to love. I'm so glad I started drinking AG1, and you will be too. Head to drinkag1.com/disturbed to get a free welcome kit, including a bottle of vitamin D and free AG1 travel packs when you first subscribe. That's drinkag1.com/disturbed. As the weather cools, I'm swapping in pieces that actually get the job done. Warm, durable, and built to last. And Quince delivers every time, with wardrobe staples that'll carry you through the season. Quince has the kind of fall staples you'll actually want to wear on repeat, like 100% Mongolian cashmere from just $60, classic fit denim, and real leather and wool outerwear that looks sharp and holds up. I've really been enjoying my new organic stretch corduroy overshirt. It's stylish and comfortable, and makes me excited for the weather to drop, because I want to wear it all the time. I also just grabbed a cotton velvet quilt from Quince in preparation for winter. My wife loves the color, and the kids love how soft it is. Layer up this fall with pieces that feel as good as they look. Go to quince.com/disturbed for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada, too. That's QUINCE.com/disturbed. Free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/disturbed. Last but not least, a longtime neighbor finally reveals his inner demon. Narrated by Dacey Else from Reddit user DJ Porco Porcini.
I'm 26 and I've been living in my current apartment for 7 years now. The entire time I've been dealing with a neighbor who's truly frightening. But recently it's gotten so bad that I think I have to move out. It started 6 months after I moved in. I was tipsy and coming back from a night out with a friend, struggling to unlock the door when we heard a voice behind us. "Hello, girls. What are you doing?" The voice was attempting to be friendly, but given the situation, it startled us both. We turned around and saw a huge man, around 6.5 feet tall, step uncomfortably close to us. "Hey, we're just trying to get into the building, but the code and lock is glitching," I said. He looked at me up and down for 10 whole seconds while smirking before answering. It was super uncomfortable. "Do you live here? Is your apartment number 12? He asked. I told him yes, doing my best to hide how creeped out I was. "Isn't your name Alyssa?" I looked at my friend and made a face that said, "How the fuck does he know my name? And we need to leave." After I didn't reply, he said, "Okay, girls, I'll help you open the door." He opened it for us and we headed back to my apartment. I later learned he lived 1 unit over from me, but I have no idea how he knew my name. 2 months went by before I saw my neighbor again. One weekday morning, I woke up around 6 a.m. in my apartment because my doorbell was ringing. I lived alone, and since I don't have a peephole on my door, I felt quite paranoid about my doorbell ringing when I wasn't expecting anyone. It was also really weird to have it ring so early in the morning. I decided to ignore it and get ready for the day. Then at 9 a.m. it rang again. I still wasn't keen on seeing who was there, so I continued pretending I wasn't home. I was really creeped out and I stayed as quiet as possible. At 11, I needed to leave, so I slowly crept out of my apartment. As I was locking it, my neighbor came out of his unit. "Hello there, I've been trying to reach you the whole morning. Why didn't you answer? I knew you were at home." I started to panic, but didn't want him to notice it. "Oh, hey, I was sleeping. I probably didn't hear the doorbell ringing." He didn't seem to believe my answer. "I've been trying to reach you all morning because we have a lot of things to discuss. We don't have much time, but I've handled everything, so it's under control for now. You need to look what I've left under your entrance rug." I realized the guy wasn't right in his mind. He was mumbling a bunch of nonsense, maybe having a manic episode or something. He asked me once more to look under my entrance door rug, so I did. Underneath it was a spatula that was broken in half. I was really confused, but he kept on going about how I needed to help him and hide it somewhere, but he couldn't elaborate. At this point, I was so scared I just ran out of the apartment building without replying or looking back. I heard him running after me for a while, but then he stopped. In the evening, I was super scared to come home, but I didn't really have a choice. I got to my apartment without issue, but just a few hours later, my doorbell rang again. This time I asked, "Who's there?" without opening my door. My neighbor answered. "Hi, I just wanted to apologize about what I said earlier today. I just have so many things to tell you." He went on mumbling about complete nonsense. He said that he's currently playing a real-life simulation game called Quest, that I play a part in this game, and that there's something hidden in the garden house outside our apartment. He wouldn't tell me what it is and said that I need to come outside with him and check it out myself. I obviously refused and instantly called my dad because he lives just a few blocks away from me. I asked him to come over and help me talk some sense to my neighbor and ask him to leave me alone. My dad agreed, but after chatting with him, he said my neighbor was completely sane and that I was overreacting. Maybe the guy tried to be nice and polite to my dad, but it left me feeling crazy. The very next day, I was informed that my neighbor went on a rampage in our building. He shattered windows and light bulbs in the hallway and smashed some of the mailboxes attached to the wall by the entrance. From what I could gather, he was being aggressive towards his girlfriend and a few other neighbors from our building. Apparently, the police and ambulance were called, and he allegedly got hospitalized. I also learned that after this incident, he broke up with his long-term girlfriend, and that sent him into a spiral. It was really concerning, but it proved that my suspicions were right. A bit after that, I learned what was really going on. My neighbors told me that he was previously diagnosed with schizophrenia. He used to be a teacher at a university, and a lot of people knew him, but ever since he got diagnosed, he's struggled to find a job and maintain a social life. I know that must be tough for him, and the neighbors and I have tried to be kind, but his outburst showed me what he was really capable of. We all started steering clear and did our best not to agitate him. This worked fine for a few years. He'd still ring my doorbell in a manic state, asking for flavors or saying he needed to talk about something, but I kind of learned how to handle it. He usually ended up hospitalized for a bit and would return to his apartment when he cooled down. Unfortunately, 2 years ago, things started to change. He rang my doorbell one morning and I answered it with my boyfriend, who was living with me at this point. My neighbor said he was working on a project, so he might listen to some music and it might be a little loud. As he talked, he swayed from side to side and could barely keep his eyes open. He was clearly drunk and was holding a blunt at the time. He asked if the noise would be okay, and I said it was, but that he shouldn't play it late at night. From then on, he started blasting music 24/7. The neighbors begged him to turn it down, but it seemed to make him want to frustrate us more. It was so loud that our walls were literally shaking at 3 a.m. We tried everything to make him stop, including calling the police, but nothing worked. He really was just using it as an excuse to pick a fight with me and my boyfriend. I was too afraid of him in this state, so my boyfriend would talk to him about it and he'd just get super aggressive. "You're not my neighbor, Alyssa is. And if she's bothered, she should come to me personally and address my concerns," he said. Meanwhile, whenever he saw me smoking in the garden of our apartment, he'd come down and force a conversation with me. He'd comment on my appearance, ask me personal questions, and talk about some really concerning projects. He literally said he wanted to make a bomb shelter in our basement. Around this time, he was also having multiple violent confrontations with people in our area. Apparently, he was visiting dive bars with a knife, threatening to stab people. He also made spiked brass knuckles and had used them on a cop. One day when I was home alone, he rang my doorbell again. I opened the door, not knowing it was him. "Hi," he said. "Can you please come to my apartment? There's a friend of mine inside and something is wrong with his leg." I looked at him in disbelief. "What friend? What's his name?" He hesitated, then said the name of his friend. "How long has he been in your apartment? And what exactly happened to his leg? What kind of injury does your friend have?" I asked. He seemed to not know the answer right away, but then he replied, "I don't know, he's been at my house for several days and I can't explain what kind of injury it is." I told him there was no way I was entering his apartment, to which he replied, I'm afraid you don't have a choice. You have to come and help me out. I just shut the door as quickly as possible and locked it. God knows what he was planning, and I was not about to risk it based on these sketchy answers. A few days later, he rang my doorbell again and asked me to come outside on the street. There was a dead homeless person on our sidewalk who probably died from the cold, and my neighbor wanted to help him. When I got outside, the ambulance was already there and the body was already covered up. I started to head back upstairs, but my neighbor started to ramble about how all of this is connected to some kind of robbery. He said one guy robbed him and now there's a dead body on the street and everything's connected. It didn't make any sense, so at first I thought this was just another episode, but the more I thought about how off the rails he'd been lately, the more I realized he really could be capable of murder. I mean, he was literally starting bar and cop fights, but no one was suspicious of him. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. I should have left this apartment years ago, but I got weirdly used to his antics. He's shown that he's truly dangerous. I'm in the middle of finding a new place with my boyfriend because the writing is on the wall. If he hasn't hurt someone already, he will soon enough, and it's not going to be me.
Want more Disturbed? Check out our Patreon for member-exclusive content, early merch access, and other cool perks. I'm your host, Doug Bailey, and this has been Disturbed, a production of Killer Podcasts and part of the Evergreen Network. For more paranormal and true crime shows, visit killerpodcasts.com. Follow our social channels at Disturbed Podcast on Instagram or Disturbed_pod on Twitter. If you enjoyed the show, please consider subscribing and reviewing on your favorite listening platform. Share your own true horror story at disturbedpodcast.com. Music by Epidemic Sound and by Carl Casey at White Bat Audio. Our producer is Declan Roars. Audio engineering by Nathan Corson, Will Pritz, and Sean Rule Hoffman. Executive producer Bridget Coyne. Until next time, stay safe out there.